Supreme Magus, Chapter 79, Day 2, Part 2. It was almost noon. Floria Group was about to call it a day, planning to resume after lunch. Belia was walking in the air. After all that happened during their first day, she had kept picturing the forest like a hellish place, with dangers lurking behind every corner. That morning instead had been so peaceful that she had managed to calm herself and regain a bit of self-esteem. Wizen was of different opinion. Damn, seeing Litz and Floria's going along so well after a single fight together, I was really hoping to get the opportunity to prove myself to them. If a trembling jelly like Floria has managed to become our team leader in one day, why should I be any different? My family is the magic business from generation 2, and my mom always told me that I'm talented. Too bad that the academy professor do not agree with her. With Floria's foolproof plan and Litz covering me, I could show those beasts who is the boss. Instead, all I did was picking fruits like a monkey. Suddenly, the wildlife calls that had filled the air until a moment ago went quiet. Center's shriek cracked the silence, announcing its presence. Lit flew to Wizen's side, while Floria did the same for Belia. The two-man unit kept a distance between themselves for about 10 meters, close enough to be able to help each other in case of need, but far enough not to get caught by friendly fire. Unlike the first day, Wizen wasn't scared at all. Lit was already covering his back, so he started chatting his first word and spell, confiding in his partner's skill to buy him enough time. Thanks gods. This is really my lucky day. I feel we can do it. But since you are already listening to me, can I also have the hot teacher from Principle of Advanced Magic fall into my arms, completely naked? Sadly, the mystic line between Wizen and his gods had gone bad. Instead of Naliar, it was Center diving downwards Wizen, its talons spread wide for the kill. Truth to be told, it was a female, and naked too. Hence, many could argue that 2/3 of the youth's prayer had actually been granted. Lit managed to finish his spell in time, conjuring 3 fireballs at once in a triangular formation along the crown's trajectory. To avoid getting hurt, Center was forced to conjure a strong updraft to make a U-turn and avoid the blunt of the explosion. Seeing that all eyes were still following its movements, after gaining altitude, Center started flying in circles and preparing a trap. Coming from the opposite direction from their partner, Termin and Emruk tried to take the humans by surprise. Yet, no one had actually paid any attention to the crown, their casting uninterrupted. Floria had already conjured a tower shield made out of earth, its surface completely frozen. A perfect counter to the most spell based on air or fire magic, the only elements a Rai could use. Belia was now wearing a thin suit of armor formed by countless shards of ice, the number of which was rising at dramatic speed, covering every inch of her body and forming odd spikes on her back and arms. Emruk had often seen that spells in the past years. The Rai knew it meant troubles. Termin, we have no time to lose. If the armor fully forms, we'll lose our physical advantage against that pop and will be forced to rely on more spells. Then what are you waiting for? I'll take care of the pops so dumb to use my elements, while you knock the others unconscious. Center had almost finished setting up the array. It's a foolproof plan. Stop thinking with your tusk, Dumit. It's all too obvious. This is either a trap or the most idiotic plan that I have ever seen. Let's pretend to fall for it, but be ready to switch opponents once we understand their use. Emruk had used an air spell to keep contact with his partners, no matter how distant. "Copy that, Emruk," Center replied. "I'll give you all the covering fire you need. Let's kick their asses and go home. I'm bored already." "Phew, I'm glad I get to switch target with Emruk," Termin thought. "I don't like the pop with the mean eyes. He gives me an eerie feeling. I can put my knuckles on it, but he has a vibe that reminds me of Boss Scarlet." Termin wasn't stupid, quite the contrary. Emruk knew it, and that was the reason it had lashed at the Chingy's eagerness. Termin had the sharpest instinct among the three, but this time was too embarrassed for sharing its readings. Both the magical beasts charged at their opponents, Emruk in a zigzag pattern, to not offer an easy target, while Termin could only advance in a straight line. Well, look at that," Lid thought. "Seems that when not chasing us, they are not allowed to use fusion magic. First the Kron and now the Rai aren't using air fusion speed boost to overwhelm us. If I'm right, this is a rare occasion to go mano a mano with a magical beast. If I'm wrong, meh, I'll fail valiantly protecting the team and get the heck out of here." Vizen had yet to finish his second spell. He needed more time. There were only so much Lid could do with all the restriction that the presence of witnesses burdened him with. But having already drank another set of 3 fake potions and activating air, fire, and earth fusion, he was still quite confident after discovering that his opponents had restrictions too. Lid flew towards the Rai, maneuvering in all 3 dimensions, forcing it to a stop. "Not this again," Emruk growled in frustration. Suddenly, switching targets didn't seem so much of a good idea anymore. "Ah, Emruk, my stubborn apprentice, seems like yesterday when the man pup gave you a good beating and I once again pressed you to learn how to fly." Any creature that controls air magic should do it. Refusing to, it's a sign of either pride or stupidity. Which one is in your case, apprentice? Boss Scarlet's voice resounded in its ears. "It doesn't seem like it was yesterday, and you repeated that 100 times already. I get it. Now shut up. This pup is troublesome." Scarlet guffed at the Rai, trying to hide his shame and embarrassment behind an angry facade. Meanwhile, Termin had almost reached the girls. When the Chingy was about 30 meters from them, they both launched toward it 2 yellow wisps of air magic, one from the left and one from the right, in an X pattern that left Termin no way to dodge. "Damn it, not this again," Termin thought. Having learned its lesson, the Chingy dived nose first towards the ground that opened under the girl's astonished eyes and turned softer than cotton, allowing the beast to burrow through like a hot knife against butter. That move had caught them unprepared. But Floria, training kicked in. She kept following the tunneling effect with her eyes while casting a Mage Knight spell with her free hand. Belia's armor was almost complete, and several form ice weapons were circling around her, waiting for a command. Like Floria, she was readying another spell, cursing herself for not having bought any potion. They had asked Lid if he could share with them, but the imprint system had made it impossible. From opening the stopper to drinking the liquid, only the owner was allowed to do it. There were only 2 possible options. Lid could drink and spit it for them into another bottle, but not only that was disgusting, it was also useless. Outside the flask, the magical properties would quickly disappear. The second one was to pass the liquid mouth to mouth. Everyone had dismissed the idea without a second thought. In the heat of the battle, it would have been suicidal. When Thurman came out of the ground, right under the girl's feet, like a shark from a horror movie, it met Floria's tower shield reinforced by Tower Guard spell. It enhanced the conjure shield density, raising its weight and hardness to that of a rock weighing several hundred kilos. Despite Tower Guard, Thurman came out dazed but unscathed, while the tower shield shattered on impact, forcing Floria to cast for a new one. Lit, too, was having a hard time. Once the initial surprise was over, the Rai had decided to ignore him and take down the weakened Link. The other pup was doing nothing but casting non-stop with no apparent effect. Much to Lit's disappointment, even with the potion-like boost from fusion magic, his physical attacks had almost no effect. The thick fur was like a cushion, taking the blunt of its hits and dispersing most of the kinetic energy. Damn it! If I only could go all out with fusion magic, this would go differently. Not on my watch, Lit yelled, releasing his Tier 3 spells, Checkmate Spears, to stall for some more time. But this time, Emruk had its legs on the ground and had already experienced the spell's effect, so it used compact and high-density air shields to deflect all the spears. It wasn't able to dodge while moving at high speed with air fusion. Lee thought, the restriction only apply when attacking, not defending. It took only a couple of seconds for Lee's spell's effects to wear off, leaving the Rai with nothing more than a few bruises. Vision had yet to finish. How long does it take? Lee yelled in frustration. And don't you dare answering until everything's ready. Perfection requires time. Vision inwardly groaned, completing the second spell and starting the third one. I swear that as soon as I get back to the academy, I'll stockpile Speed's potion like there's no tomorrow. How could I be so stupid? I'd really deserve a good beating. Once again, Vision and the gods seemed to be perfectly in tune. Center had finally completed the dark air array in the sky, making flying above the trees impossible for the 4 students, while thunderbolts and black arrows rained from the enormous magic circle the Kron has materialized. The fast lightnings and the slower arrows coordinated their trajectories, leaving Floria's team no way out but defeat.